12, it's going to work. You're getting an outstanding battery. This has been one of the great honors of my life, commanding this battery. If you would have told me whenever I was a teenager trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life, that I got to grow up and coach high school football, and I got to be an officer in the Army and command men, I think I would have thought I hit the jackpot. And it's truly been a pleasure. I just thought before I got into the laundry list of thanks, I would share a couple memories that I had of things I was amazed at with this unit, just different great memories. I remember a particular evening when the Q-37 went down with a hard fault. The thing was down for 36 hours. I remember going out to check on the radar and seeing Sergeant Mannion, Sergeant Henry, Sergeant Green, all those guys, 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, out there, sleeves rolled up, doing everything they could to make sure that the 30,000 plus people on that base were protected. Dedication that most people would never know would happen when they were sitting there asleep in their beds. Just amazed by that. I think about trips out to Bob Wolverine and how much I worried about those guys out there when I didn't have eyes on them all the time. And being impressed by Sergeant Southern and his defense plan as he let me know everything he had laid out and planned to defend that section if it came down to it. And they had a little cross between the Alamo and Stonehenge set up there that they could fall back to. And it was awesome. It was always fun visiting those guys out at Wolverine. Sergeant Haynes can attest I didn't particularly care for the helicopter rides out there, but it was always good to visit. I remember Sergeant Austin being basically our ambassador to everyone on CAF, to include the Romanians and Bulgarians. And I kid you not, when the Romanians and Bulgarians needed something done, they gave up on NATO and they turned to Sergeant Austin. He had the air conditioning fixed, they needed a new door, it didn't matter. They went to Sergeant Austin, and it was a little amazing. I remember the big flood we had down there, covered everything. Sergeant Mannion surfing on one of those piles. Sergeant Haynes pushing a bridge out of the street that was floating down. Just crazy in the middle of Afghanistan, 2 feet of water. I remember the hot pepper they tried to convince me to eat. Supposed to be, 1,000 times more powerful than a habanero or something? Or, I don't know. I didn't want to eat it. So I told them if they raised $500 for Riley Hospital, then I would eat the pepper. And less than 24 hours later, they raised $700. And I about got sick, and I spent a lot of time in the latrine outside of the office there. But I'll always remember that. The 36 change out, the 36 section, swapping those radars out. And an improvement in coverage that made after the Wolverine radar came in, and we changed that out. I remember being down at Fort Bliss and seeing snow in the middle of the New Mexico desert. I remember watching these guys set up the OE-254 in the middle of a sandstorm, and the battalion commander for 5-3 FA there walking up out of the middle of nowhere and appearing like a ghost beside of me and telling me just how impressive my guys were, and he didn't know if a lot of active duty units would still be out training in those conditions and pulling that off. I know you guys remember, couldn't see your hand in front of your face, and we were still out there training. I remember Chief Walgreen going out on the convoys to Camp Hero to meet with the Chief of Fires for the Afghan Chief of Fires. And reading his transcripts afterward and thinking how many people in this entire country could be fluent in vocabulary of the artillery and be able to speak Dari and be able to sit down in a meeting and translate fluently and know all the artillery language. Probably none. And that's another guide unit. I remember you know, the countless times I'd look at, you know, Master Sergeant Roberts or First Sergeant Pop, you know, they're not here, but neither one of those guys had to go on an deployment. I mean, they both had their retirements in, and you know, it was always a great challenge and motivation to me to see how much their country meant to them. That, you know, they signed up, they took an extra tour for all of us and for our country. You know, I remember with Lieutenant Bean, the alarms going off in the middle of the night whenever we get a rocket attack, and the two of us, you know, rolling out in our PT gear and sprinting up to the office so we could get on and call Specialist Mawala or Sergeant Nordstrom or whoever was on duty at the time. You know, yeah, Sergeant Collins, and finding out if it was on the base or off the base. And you know, those are some of those good memories that I always have, and I feel very blessed to have been able to serve with all of you. So, the laundry list of thanks. First of all, thank you to Colonel Townsend and Colonel White as the battalion commanders. Colonel White for having faith in me to lead the mission. Colonel Townsend, for those of you who don't know, you know, as a second lieutenant right out of OBC, you know, took a leap of faith and plugged me in for about 7 months as an interim commander down at HHB. And you guys all benefited a lot from the mistakes I made down there and didn't repeat up here as a captain. And then all I learned on the mission over to Iraq, so thank you, sir. Sergeant Major Knies, I remember going through basic training and being terrified of sergeant majors and thinking, I will never have a conversation with a sergeant major if I can avoid it. But I went to Sergeant Major Knies repeatedly for advice, and you know, and I thank you for that, Sergeant Major. Chaplain Girdley, great friend to me, and to all the soldiers in the battery. The entire battalion staff, I mean, most of you probably don't know just how many things they were working on for us before the deployment, during the deployment, and after the deployment. The full-timers here, Sergeant Rhodes, Sergeant Elliott, Sergeant Haynes, now Sergeant Murphy, you know, just second to none. You know, I know I couldn't go into any more depth on that without losing it. So, Lieutenant Beanie and Chief Walgreen and First Sergeant Pop, those are my confidants. You know, whenever I had a bad day, you know, he talked to somebody, they were always there to pick me up. Mr. King and Chief Walton leading the rear, and all the rear soldiers, you know, for the good training you did, and then many of you helped support us in the train up to the deployment. You know, I can't think of anybody else I would have trusted more than Mr. King with running the unit while I was gone. He was the NCOIC on our mission to Iraq, and I can remember as a lieutenant, you know, going to Mr. King, you know, what's it going to be like when we get over there? You know, what if this, what if that? And you know, just a great steady hand leading here. All the deployed NCOs and soldiers and their families, you know, I don't have words to tell you how much I appreciate your contributions. The FRG, Jenny Tracy, of course not here, she did a load for us. Heather King, Liz Grant, Jeannie Murphy, thanks for stepping in. Our FRG was outstanding. We went from a relatively small FRG to having just an outstanding FRG. Mom, Dad, thanks. Dane, Caleb, thanks for putting up with your dad being gone. Thanks so much. And, Amanda, thank you for your support. I remember Colonel White called me out the Declination Hill down at Camp Atterbury in June of 2011, asking if I would lead ETAB on deployment. At that point, I'd been home a little less than a year and a half, and it was a great honor, and something I felt strongly about. I remember thinking, how am I going to ask my wife after I've just been home a little over a year to leave again? And you know, as she has throughout the 14 years of marriage, she was amazing, supportive right off the bat. She recharge my battery, throughout the whole appointment. I was able to get a hold of her and pick me up and keep me driving. All right. That's all I got for you. Sorry I ran on a little long and started blubbering a little bit there, but thank you all for your service. I appreciate it.